Okay, so this is about the most important room in Dragon Age Inquisition. The room I want everybody else to be on the same page with as me. So, you come back to the Dwarven ruins after.
We should see where that leads.
You come back to the Dwarven ruins after it floods, and you open it with your magical powers. And you come to an unknown ruin with a bunch of Fen'Harel statues in it. And everybody's seen this room before, but I want everybody to really think about what this room means.
Look at this mural. Hold on. I see something hidden in it.
If it's like Solus's paintings, it's probably depicting how some elf felt real broody about shit he wouldn't talk about.
Veilfire runes in the deep roads. In the light of the Veilfire, the runes seem to shift, coiling and uncoiling like snakes. A thunderous voice shatters the stillness, shouting, "Hail Mythal, adjudicator and savior! She has struck down the pillars of the earth and rendered their domain unto the people. Praise her name forever." For a moment, the scent of blood fills the air, and there is a vivid image of green vines growing and enveloping a sphere of fire. The vision grows dark, an eon seems to pass. Then the runes crackle as if filled with an angry energy. A new vision appears, elves collapsing caverns, sealing the deep roads with stone and magic. Terror, heart pounding, ice cold as the last of the spells is cast, a voice whispers, "What the Evanuris in their greed could unleash would end us all. Let this place be forgotten. Let no one wake its anger. The people must rise before their false gods destroy them all."
The runes say the Evanuris fought the Titans. They mined their bodies for lyrium and something else. It's not clear.
So that is the most important room in the game. There's another clue to this room that is only accessible if you're looking at the game files. And so with this tool, you can search for Fen'Harel and filter it, and every single string in the game that has the word Fen'Harel in it will be here. So there were certain descriptions of trespasser that don't actually appear in the game. They're like strings of text that the developers were using to describe rooms in the game. There was this one that is the key, I think, to everything. It's a really incredible clue. And it says, "A final alluvion is situated in a peaceful bolt hole where Solus has painted murals. Fen'Harel was here and wanted to make sure nobody ever found out what the other gods were doing. This place was the breaking point for him that turned him against the gods." So obviously this aligns with what Varric said. There's something about a broody elf who knew a lot of shit that he wouldn't talk about. This is Solus's painting, where he was the one that painted the Titan mural. And then this, I think, this sentence is the key. Fen'Harel was here and wanted to make sure nobody ever found out what the other gods were doing. So this is key. This is this is the reason why he's still kind of lying to you in Trespasser. Like there are certain things that he's like still obviously obfuscating in that conversation, and there are certain things that he doesn't ever even mention even slightly. Like he can go down in the depths with you, he can go down in Descent DLC with you, and he says nothing. He says absolutely nothing about the Titans. He's like, "Oh, that's interesting." Like he will not say a single word about it. He knows so much more about the Titans that he's telling us, and it's like there is a reason why he's not telling us, and there's something really important about it that I think we can't even make a judgment call about what he's doing because we don't know about this particular thing. He was here and he wanted to make sure nobody ever found out what the other gods were doing. And then what did that room say? It said, "What the Evanuris in their greed could unleash would end us all. Let this place be forgotten. Let no one wake its anger. The people must rise before their false gods destroy them all." That Solus never even mentions this in Trespasser. Like, you have a whole ass conversation with him about it. He quite literally is like completely closed mouth about it. You don't understand anything about what he's going through. You don't understand what is motivating him, because he's literally like, we have this room in the same DLC that is trying to tell us you don't know anything about what he's talking about. He's still lying. He still has to lie to you. He wanted to make sure nobody ever found out what the other gods were doing. That, I think sentence is his motivation at this current time. He can't ask for your help with this because in his experience, teaming up with other people is an absolute, that's the last thing you ever wanted to do. He does not work well in groups. He has been betrayed before, and he has betrayed before, and he doesn't do groups well, and he thinks at this point in his life, he thinks the only way to do it is to do it alone, because I've always just been effing betrayed by everyone else.
What will you do with the power of the well once Corypheus is dead?
I'm not arrogant enough to think it's my decision alone. Whatever happens, we'll do it together.
You think to share your power, to avoid the temptation to misuse it. A noble sentiment, but ultimately a mistake.
Why?
Because while one selfless woman may walk away from the lure of power's corruption, no group has ever done so.
I trust my friends.
I know that mistake well enough to carve the angles of her face from memory.
Why is this so important to you? There's a first time for everything.
Perhaps, but it will not be this time. I believe even you know that.
Why is this so important to you? If other members of the Inquisition overstep their bounds, I'll be there to stop them.
Ah, then I misunderstood. You will be first among equals. Good.
Good.
You have not been what I expected, Inquisitor. You have impressed me. You must not let false modesty allow you to pass your power to someone else. There are few regrets sharper than watching fools squander what you sacrifice to achieve.
So this is, it's like the ultimate conversation in the game with him. It happens right after the Temple of Mythal. It happens before the end of the game when he leaves. This is the last big conversation you have with him in Inquisition. So it should be covering what are his character's themes, what is his character trying to develop, what is his issues that he's dealing with, what are his goals and motivations. Like, this should be the culminating scene, and it actually is. Like, it and it's really interesting what it's actually about if you break it down. It's about power. Like, he's worried about what you're going to do with the power of the Well of Sorrows. And the interesting thing that comes up in the conversation, the most interesting, is there is this absolute hard line with him that you didn't quite see before this conversation, where he says, no, literally, there is absolutely no way that you should trust anyone else with great power. You need to only carry that power yourself, because if you are friends with other people and you all come across great power and try to share it, it will destroy you, because it will corrupt all of you, and then it will destroy you. So the only way to make sure that that doesn't happen is to, as a distinct and special individual, you, as one person, can say no to great power corrupting you. but you can't do it in a group of friends. You literally just can't do it. You can't do it in a group of two. You can only do it as an individual because he is such an individualist. So this is his 100% hard line as a character. This is actually his fatal flaw as well, which I'll write an essay about that later. But this is something that comes up in every single conversation with him. This is something that is touched on in every single scene that he's involved in. It's always about power and making sure that you're the only individual who ends up with it, because not in a like I wahaha I want to be the only powerful one and everyone should bow to me, but it's more like you can be friends with great people. You can even be lovers with incredibly talented and righteous people. But in his experience, he's seen his group of friends absolutely go batshit about great power. Like he saw them go down into the deep roads and do something with the Titans that he disapproved of, or that he saw would ultimately destroy the entire world, and he said, "Nah, we're not going to do that anymore." And this is his big problem. Like he is so burned from trusting the Evanuris, I think that that's what it was. I mean, there could be details about it that are wrong because this is so ephemeral. It's like really hard to nail down, but his bitterness over their betrayal of him and his like subsequent betrayal of them, it like it like controls so much of how he acts now. That so even when he's in a romantic relationship with you, he's still working under the same premise that like one person, him, he has in the past resisted the lure of power's corruption as an individual, but he doesn't trust if you two are together that you won't go batshit almost with him. Like he thinks this is the only way to do it. He thinks that going it alone is the only way to do it. It's his fatal flaw. Like obviously he doesn't trust anyone else. He doesn't trust. He can't trust anyone. And so where we're looking at Trespasser and we're saying, if you care, give me the truth, and he's still lying to her because he has to. So assume that there is this great power in the Deep Roads that even now is still there, like some great unstoppable force where in their lust for power they killed Mythal over this power. This is the power that they are lusting over. That actually Solus briefly mentions a Trespasser, but he doesn't explain any of it because he literally can't. Because if he explains it to you, then you'll know about it too. Like he is being so careful about this because he doesn't want you to even know about it. Like he wants to make sure nobody ever finds out what the Evanuris were doing. He can't trust the information to get out. He can't do it because it if someone else knows about it, then they could destroy the world the same way that the Evanuris destroyed the world before. There has to be a reason why they made this room, this special room, in Inquisition. Like there's no other reason for this room being there than to tell you. Solus is still not telling you everything in this conversation that you're about to have with him, because if he doesn't mention the Titans, if he doesn't mention this thing that he's broody about, that he can't tell anyone else about, if he's still not mentioning it, then you still don't know the entire story. You still don't know what's going on, and you still don't know what his actual motivations are. So chill with trying to assume that you know, because you actually don't know. We can kind of guess what it is, or like kind of speculate about what it could possibly be, but until Dragon Age 4 and until maybe it comes out to light, I think that this room is the key clue to the next game. And I think that A lot of people just aren't talking about it in the way that I find it to be extremely interesting.
This character who is intelligent, wise. I would say in some, I definitely drew from the same place where I wrote Morden in terms of this is a character who is all about intellect. Where he completely differs from Morden is in how he presents. Morden will let you hear everything he's thinking. Solus will think very carefully before he tells you anything, and anything he tells you is exactly as much as he wants you to know.
He's only telling you as much as you need to know, and absolutely nothing more than that. And this is part of it. Like he's obviously extremely emo about this, but he never ever even mentions it. It's just strange. He's very strange trespasser. He's very coy. He's still not telling you. Basically, I think like we still don't know half or like even 3/4 of the story. I think um, in the next game when it comes out, I think that there will be things that come out about this that will paint him as both better and worse than we already think, so that the people who already hate him will feel justified because, oh, it's worse than he said. And then the people who already love him will be justified and they'll say, oh, but it wasn't like that. It was X, Y, or Z. It was fine. So it'll continue this character journey, which is he is both black and white. He has a bunch of different things inside him at once. He's able to be all those things at once. This is the most important room in Inquisition because his story isn't over until we know what the fuck is going on with this room. Even as you're talking to him in Trespasser, you can think about this particular room and be like, well, why aren't you talking about the Titans, Solus? Tell me about the Titans. And yet he's not telling you anything about the Titans. So you still don't know anything. You don't know anything. We don't know anything about this character. It that's that's why, like, we definitively don't know the story. We don't know what's going on. We can kind of sort of guess at possibilities of what it could be, but we actually don't know what is motivating him. We don't know what this force is that could destroy the world. We don't know what he's trying to hide because he desperately doesn't want you to be corrupted by that powerful influence the way that his friends were. We don't know anything. So when people try to tell me, oh, I know exactly what's going on, like it makes me laugh. Like there's a room in Trespasser that's telling us we don't know what's going on. Like this is what this room is all about. And so don't try to tell me that you know exactly what is motivating Solus because we literally don't even know. We can't even guess. So yeah, this is why this is the most important room in Trespasser DLC, and this is why this is the room that everyone should be talking about, but they never are. So anyway, thanks.